Yo, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing? All right. All right. How you guys doing? What's up, JB? How's it going? Bull Runner, good to see you. Barb, what's going on? Jillian, pleasure as always. John Santos, what's going on? All right, cool. So let's jump into it. So we continue to bleed down as we get closer and closer to breaking daily structure. Now, we have been saying, right, in this move since, what was it, like 118, 117 area, since here, right? Guilty until proven innocent, right? After we broke 6-hour structure, right, we need to regain 6 hour before we look at longs, and this is why, right? For the same reason that we're not taking shorts in here, right? Well, if we are taking shorts in here, we're just looking for like retraces, right? We're not looking to hold it to Valhalla, right? Or I guess Valhalla would be down here, right? Same thing with taking longs in here. We're just looking to take it up to like the golden pocket, or try if you're bottom fishing, understanding that you're most likely going to get stopped out, right? Now, the problem now is, as we were talking about when we came up here initially, right? If we reject it from this area, it could cause a SFP, right? That could then attack these lows. Now, the problem is, if we come below these lows, we would be breaking daily structure. And it gets really scary once we close a daily candle below here, as you guys know, right? So that's definitely something to be aware of. Now, that level, of course, would be the mitigation low, right? And the reason that that's important is because when we came up here, we put in a new high on the daily, right? Which makes this our daily strong low. So if we were to put in a candle like this, right, then we would be breaking daily market structure bearish, right? Which would not spell good for the market. Now, there's a couple bearish signs that we had that we've been talking about, right? So initially there was breaking this trend line on the weekly, right? And if you go to log scale, hold on. Oh, that's why. Hold on. There we go. So yeah, if you go to log scale on this, it did look a little scary, right? Looks like we lost it, retested it as resistance, and now we're rejecting off of it, getting a bit of a correction, right? So there are some warning signs to be a little cautious here. And if you look at Market Cipher, right, we had the trigger wave, we had the weekly bear div, right, weekly red dot printing. So there's a little bearishness in the market right now. What is the optimistic signs here? Well, we still have our weekly time frame, right? So if we're talking about weekly structure, since we didn't put in a valid low up here, right? There's no 2 red candles in a row before this sweep of the high, right? Losing this 111.8 level wouldn't break weekly structure, right? So we still have our weekly strong low down here. Now this would be a problem if we closed a weekly candle below 98K. That would be like bear market activity, because then you'd be in a downtrend on the weekly, and yeah, look out below if that happens, right? So we still have room, right? We still have another 13% that we could drop down before breaking structure on the weekly. We've already corrected about 9%, so we've got about a 10% further range to play with. Now, some levels to mark on your chart in case we do break daily market structure, right? Some areas where bulls might defend the weekly. All right, so we have our 0.5, or sorry, we have our golden pocket here, right? Now, we're just going to make this a special box, right? Because what do we also know, right, when we go to our daily? What have we talked about in this area for a long time, right? We've talked about this decision block of demand. This has not been mitigated. So when we have a golden pocket in this area, we have unmitigated decision demands, right? Should we come down here, we could look for a break on like the 4-hour like the 4-hour time frame. See if we could reclaim 4-hour structure if we were to come down here, right? Ideally, it would be best if we come down there. Well, that was a deviation, but let's grab it from here. Ideally, it'd be best if we didn't close a daily candle below 109. So let's have that as a key level to mark on your chart, right? So 109, like 108, basically 109 flat, right? So if we come down here into our special box, right? If we do something like this, if we close a daily candle above that level, that would be a daily range deviation play that you could take on the long side, right? Without necessarily waiting for structure. You guys know how to take those, right? Like same thing that we did back here. The daily closes above. Now this was a little bit interesting too, because this also SFP'd the previous daily low as well. So there was like multiple confluences here. But generally, the way that you trade range deviations, if it does close back above, your stop loss would go below the wick, and then you'd be targeting the premium. But I would advise caution if the daily breaks structure. Then I would advise waiting for like a 4-hour break of structure bullishly before hopping in on that. Unless the wick is like this, and the RR is amazing, right? Like if you can get a 6 RR, then yeah, you know, like that's a no-brainer. But generally, if we break daily structure, I'd wait for at least 4 hour to jump into a long, because it could get ugly very quickly. So that's the first level to keep in mind. And if we're looking at that level, really, it's this entire the golden pocket. Let's throw that back on here. So the golden pocket is technically at. It's technically at 108, like 107.5 to 108.3. So that would be a key level to mark out on your chart. Hold on. Okay, so you'd want to set an alert there. Now, also this entire area of unmitigated demand. So let's get rid of some of this stuff. We can go. This entire area is unmitigated decision demand, right? So if we were to come down here, we'd want to look for some structure breaks or maybe a reclaim, a daily SFP. Now, if you've been following this channel for a little while, then you guys have seen this play out multiple times, right? So you should have a little more confidence in taking the trade, right? If we come down to this area, we should see, even if it's just a bounce for a lower high, right? We should see some sort of reaction out of decision demand, right? Price action is fractal. What you see on smaller time frames, you'll see on larger time frames. Generally, when this gets mitigated, you're going to get a bounce, right? So if this alarm goes off, right, it's time to start looking at maybe like your 2 hour, 3 hour, like your higher time frame structure. See if we can get some sort of break out of there to try to get long at, right? We're still operating under the assumptions of guilty until proven innocent, right? Don't get caught with your pants down, right? Understand the environment. And right now, we SFP'd the daily high. We're trying to attack our previous strong low. The reaction at this strong low is going to tell us a lot of information, right? Money flows coming out, RSIs are coming down. They're kind of gapped, right? That's kind of good for us, right? That they aren't like super strong to the downside, right? Here's like an example of that here, right? Gap to the downside, snaps back up, right? So it's not terrible yet because we still haven't even broke daily structure, but there are some warning signs, right? So you want to be prepared, right? Okay. All right, so the next level to be aware of is going to be R786, right? But if I'm being honest, right, as a market structure trader, it's way more appealing to me to bounce from here. Right? Everybody who watches the market structure course understands why this area is so important. Someone want to throw that in chat? Why would it be cool? Why would it be awesome to revisit this area? It's an unmitigated daily order block, right? We haven't retested this level after this order block was created. Not only that, here, let's rename it. Not only is it an unmitigated OBIM, right? It's also a decision block. Or I'm sorry, it's we'll just make it an OBIM. Or a breaker block. That was what I was looking for. Sorry. Let's see. This is a very important level to have on your chart. No, bearded close. It's not supply. This would be demand because it's where buyers stepped in. This is the area where buyers stepped in that led to this move. And this never got mitigated. One second. And this area never got mitigated on the way up, right? So it's unmitigated breaker block on the daily. It's going to be very strong support when we get down there. And it's also what's kind of the major line. So there's two major line of defenses for the weekly structure. So the first is this decision block, right? So this would be like, well, plan A would be if somehow this is, I would say at this point after losing the 886, unlikely, right? But if we see like the 4 hour come back and break bullishly, then we can start talking about it, right? But I mean, you could say that there's one option that we hold this daily strong low and we start making our way back up. But I would say the most likely spot that we're going to find support is here. So let's say plan A is the decision demand provides support. Maybe we SFP on the daily, right? SFP that pull the high, pull the low, reclaim the range, break 4-hour structure, get long, Valhalla, right? Maybe. But if not, if this decision demand fails, right, we have plan B, which is this unmitigated breaker block at, what is that, basically like 103,500, right, which is kind of right in between the 786 and the 886 as well, right? So obviously the daily strong low could hold. I would say with this daily close underneath the 886, unlikely, but possible. Wait for 4-hour structure, guilty until proven innocent. And then it's pretty likely that this like 618 decision demand area will hold, right? But you want to see either a daily SFP or a 4-hour structure break out of it. And then if we do come all the way down here with seasonality and with the fact that this is unmitigated breaker block, this would most likely give us support. Now, what is plan C? Plan C is a weekly break of structure, right? Which would not be good for the bulls, right? So that would put us in a downtrend on the weekly. And hey, what's up, Alex? Welcome in. Yeah, I got those from a really cool guy I know, dude. I adopted those. But yeah, so those are the 3 plans that I see right now, right? If these are plans for if daily structure breaks, right? So, let's set an alert here too. All right, so that's macro, right? So that's on the daily. What's up, Mortimer? Good to see you. TF, what's up, man? Kango, welcome, brother. Okay, so any questions on that? Drop a 1 in the chat if you understand the macro context of Bitcoin. If not, throw whatever questions you have. Is the lowest... So 98K would be the weekly break of structure. So we would not want to see 98K break unless it's like... So there is a scenario where 98K breaks and it's not necessarily the bear market. So like we could pull the high on the weekly and then pull the low on the weekly, but we'd want to SFP it. We could pull the high, pull the low, and then SFP the range, and then make our bullish break back up. I would say that's less likely because 98K breaks, it's people are going to get bearish. It's probably going to trigger like spot stop losses, and that could have a chain reaction. But it is possible. But yeah, 98K would be the weekly low, the weekly strong low right now. Yeah, that's plan D. Plan D, and then plan E is weekly break of structure, dump to like dump to the underworld, right? Like that'd be plan E. Okay, cool. So that's macro. So let's zoom in. So another thing to be aware of, so man, next spider line's down here at like 110. Okay, so here is our 4-hour break of structure. So if you want to get long, right, like I said, like if we're getting long off like something on the 1 hour, so like if you see this SFP and then let's say it breaks structure here, just understand that because we're guilty and so proven innocent, right, that you should be aggressively taking profit. Right? TP1 here, TP2 at like the golden pocket, and then if we make it all the way up to the supply, I would consider exiting, because if you end up breaking this and you break 4 hour structure, you can just get back in on the mitigation. All right? So understand that you're taking longs against the 4 hour, against the 6 hour, right? So just understand that you're stepping in. Like when we were getting long in here, right, you're getting long in an impulse move, right? So you can get long, leave a runner, make a bunch of money. Here, you know, if you get short in a downtrend, you can leave a runner, right? But generally long, you want to be aggressively taking profit. But I would mark out 115.811 on your chart, right? You set an alert there. And this is going to change, of course, if we make a new low on the 4 hour. But this would be your 4 hour break of structure as it currently stands. So you set an alert there. But like I said, with the close that we just had, we've lost our 886. We've lost all of our fibs. I wouldn't really trust it if we didn't at least sweep this low at this point. How about scaling into a long? So I wouldn't really scale in during a downtrend, right? If you're going to scale in, like you could, like once we had the 4 hour break of structure. So here's the best way I can put it, Joey. So you could have been scaling into a long here, 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 and then like, yeah, eventually you would have gotten to profit, right? But what if this 4 hour low had broke and then it just dumped all the way down, right? Like you're not really managing your risk that way. And you didn't miss much, right? So the way that we did it, right, is we waited for this 4 hour break of structure and then got along here, right? And if you do that, then you can scale in, right? Like structure breaks, you come down to this mitigation here, right? Maybe you add some there, right? And then it breaks, you come down, maybe you add some there, and then you take profit at previous week high, right? And then you leave a runner, right? If you think it's going to go to 130K, right? So that's in an uptrend, you can do that, right? And as we talk about, once this breaks, you should truly be out. But honestly, we had the intraday trend line like that. Yeah, so generally like once it gets up here, 2 closes in the same direction, generally you should be out of that runner. And you can do the same thing with the downtrend, right? So right now we have downtrending momentum, right? So as long as this doesn't break. So if we're modeling this out, right? If you're thinking that this strong low is going to hold for some reason or another, right? We'll make it prove it, right? If it comes up here, breaks out of this, breaks 4 hour structure, comes down to mitigate, right? You can get long then, and then your stop's below a strong low. So it's not like the price is just going to like randomly in one candle go like this, right? Like even when that happens, structure had been bullish before this, right? Like if we're looking at 4 hour, like we had a 4 hour break here. So just understand that waiting for structure is best. And if you're scaling into a position, you should be scaling into a position in the impulse, right? So maybe you get long at the range deviation down here, and then you add to the position on the break, and then you add here, and then you add here, and then you add here, and then you exit here. But you're taking profit on the way up, right? Take profit here. So you're scaling into a position that aligns with trend. You don't want to be scaling in on the downside because you're really exposing yourself to risk. If you're going to do that, you should be doing that with like 1% of your account, right? But generally, I would not recommend doing that. I would understand market structure and wait for the structure break. Does that answer your question, Joey? Yeah. Small scale. Well, yeah. Scale into an impulse. You're tempted. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to miss anything. You're not going to miss anything, really. Like, we were really bullish in here, and it was the time to be really bullish, and you make money going up, right? This literally looks like that upside down, right? Like, this is how I can explain it. So, this is an impulse down. Right? This is a bearish impulse, right? This is a correction. Notice the difference? This is choppy, gross, slow. This is very fast. This is very fast and very aggressive. So that is caution, because corrections usually are not this, like, there's been zero relief in this, right? What do you get here? Is this like a 618 or a 38? It's not even a 382. So you got like a 236 bounce out of this. 236 bounce if you measure it to the SFP, right? And then I think you got a 0.5 here. Yeah, like a 0.5. And now you're just continuing to dump, right? So people are aggressively exiting the market. So wait, you want to enter into positions of strength. Wait for positions of strength to enter the market. Or key areas, right? Like, we really should mitigate this decision demand, right? It's been a long time coming. Cool. Looks like we SFP'd structure on the 15-minute too. No, we just didn't break it. Yeah, guys. I wouldn't be taking any longs. Yeah. Let's see what Market Cipher looks like. Yeah, money's aggressively coming out. Weakness, strong weakness. Right, like these are tight together RSIs, right? On the slow pump we get up, right? We get alligator jaws. They're already snapping back together. Caution, caution, caution. Cool. Now, if the daily structure breaks, we'll talk about shorts on like tomorrow's stream or one of those, right? But then we can start looking at some serious shorts, right? So if we lose daily structure and we come up to like golden pocket supply on the daily, if we're going to make a new low on the daily, this would be where we do it from. So there's going to be a good RR and a short there, right? So you can kind of hit it from both sides. You take a long from this decision block, take a short from up here. Whichever one gets stopped out, and you have a runner, right? So you can kind of set up the market like that. We'll go over that as more and more unfolds. I don't want to get everybody too bearish yet because technically we haven't broken daily structure yet. So let's just give it a little more time, let more of it unfold, and then we'll go from there. Let's take a look at ETH here. All right, so we're almost to the area that we were looking for here. So we've done about a 16% dump. Coming down to this area would be like a 20% dump. So let's set some alerts on ETH. Yeah, Bearded, we're almost there. We're almost there. Right now we're still in a daily uptrend. So we're really focusing on long still until structure breaks. But, well, I mean, on the 4-hour, we've been coming down. Like we gave a bunch of shorts on Sunday. But right now we're like right at the bottom of the range. So it's not really where you want to be looking for shorts. Okay. So let's set alert here. So ETH. So the first level that we can look to is like 39.50. If we take our fib here, look at that. golden pocket as well. Hey, shout out to Alex. We're going to use a special box here, special pink box. So if we come down to this area, I mean, I'd prefer the special box to be here, honestly, but. What's up, Aaron? Good to see you, brother. But we can put a buy box here. So obviously getting alerted whenever we tap this demand is important, because if we get like a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour break out of this demand, right, then we can trust that. But our first like real important area, I like at like 3,900 even. It's also a nice psychological number too, right? It's the golden pocket. So we say ETH golden pocket. So ETH hitting 3,900. All right, so that's an important level. So we'd want to look there. Now, what would we trust coming out of that, right? Obviously, you're not just going to look for like a 15-minute break, right? Because ETH is interesting, right? Because technically we've broken daily structure bearish. So we will, it's interesting on ETH. But I would trust like 2 hour plus market structure break coming out of here. Maybe 1 hour. I'll update you guys in the Discord as we approach these levels, but definitely not like just a 15-minute market structure break unless you're taking a scalp or you understand what you're doing and you're gonna be taking profit aggressively. If that's the case, then yeah, you can take a lower time frame break. But if you're looking to get long for like the next leg up, let a little bit more structure unfold, especially with this like daily bearish structure. Now this area, as Aaron stated in the chat, right, this would be your decision demand. So that's why we put a pink box around it, right? Right, so this would be a really key area. So we can take an alert here, 37, 36. We can say, and we can put ETH hitting decision demand. Awesome. Now, have we already mitigated this order block on ETH? We have not. Okay, so the third level on ETH of interest on the macro, need 35.35. All right, so that would be the next level of interest. So the three levels on ETH to watch is going to be like 3,900, 37.36, and 35.35. And you want to look for high time frame structure levels. Well, the fourth, the fourth is going to be a break here, which, yeah, that's going to be like a 2-day break of structure. Scary level. I mean, at the very least, you lose this, you're coming down to like 3,000. But I don't need to scare you guys, right? I mean, we do have a lot of unmitigated support on the way down, right? And if you guys, well, as we use market structure here, right, we understand that when we come to these unmitigated levels, we look for structure to give us the clue so we can enter on a break of structure, put our stop loss below the low, and hopefully catch the next move up, right? Now, if we're just looking at like percentage drops, so from the high, we come down to our first buy box. That's already like a 20% drop. And then as we get to like our third area, you're talking about like a 30% correction, right? So if the bull market is going to continue, 30% correction is pretty massive during like ETH season, right? So understand what you're looking at, right? Understand that these are key areas where we would look for some structure to form. Don't get emotional, because when it comes down here, it's going to be hard to buy these areas, right? It's going to be hard. The best longs are really scary to take, right? But that's why you don't trade with emotion, because you're like trained to get emotional there. Don't get emotional there. Wait for structure to form, right? If you get a break of structure, take the shot. Understand your risk to reward, right? To come back up here is very high. take the trade. Let's say it doesn't work out, you lose the trade, right? Maybe you take profits here and then you get stopped out, right? So you get a small win or whatever, right? Well, whenever you catch the right one, right, using structure, like that's an 8 risk to reward trade, right? So let's say you take 3 swings, like bottom fishing on ETH in this range, and one of them you catch and you take it to the weak highs, and maybe you ride it to, you know, whatever the bull target is, you know, like let's say 5,600. This becomes like a 13-to-1 trade, right? So scared money don't make no money, right? So understand that you're taking high probability setups, understand that you're waiting for structure to confirm, and take a shot. All right, so that's ETH. On the short side, if we like come up before we come down here, like this puts us under bearish daily market structure. It also depends on what rules you're using for market structure, right? Because technically this doesn't close below the wick of the other one, right? But under the rules that I generally use, right, this would be a daily break of structure. But that would make this supply here. So you could look for, if we come up here, right, you could look for a short stop loss below there, targeting down here. That looks like a 4 risk to reward, right? The short side, you could look for something like that. There's also the supply block up here. You would follow the exact same ideas when we hit this daily supply up here. Even though this one's already been mitigated, this hasn't been mitigated yet. All right, cool. Since we're dropping, and since we didn't do it yesterday, if you guys want to look at some altcoins, you drop them in the chat. We can look at some bounce levels on those, see how they're doing. And if you guys have any questions about Bitcoin or ETH, go ahead and throw them in the chat now. I'm going to take a drink of water. I'll be right back. Sui? Yeah, we can look at Sui. All right, so Sui's hitting Sui's hitting the level that we were waiting for, right? So Sui's hitting the demand block. Looks like we bounced off that buy level, lower high, came down here. Okay, so this is the area that we were waiting for Sui to come back to. Man, Sui had a nice short on the 4 hour. So Sui broke 4 hour market structure bearishly. After losing momentum here, right? It broke 4 hour bearishly and then it bearishly SFP'd. Wait, did we? No, we never came back up there. Okay. I got distracted. Sorry, what was I saying? Yeah. So then we bearishly SFP'd the high. And then we utterly dumped out of there. All right. So there's a nice short setup on Sui, right? So we broke 4 hour market structure here again. All right, so pullback level. So we're obviously in one right now, but I would not touch this unless we get. So we just broke 4 hour market structure, which makes this invalid high. Yeah, I mean, unless we can break above like 368.51, I wouldn't be getting really bullish for like a swing trade. Now, if you're looking for like a scalp out of demand, There may be a setup. Yeah. So there is a bit of a setup on the 15 minute. See if it's on the hour too. Let's see if it's on the 30 minute. Yeah, so I mean, if you understand what you're doing and you're just taking like a counter trend scalp, if you mitigate this high with the level that we're at, right, and maybe Bitcoin SFP's the previous daily swing low or whatever, the R&R is not really there, so I would, if you're gonna take this scalp out of demand, right, if it breaks this 15 minute, I would wait for like 3 minute structure pullback, a structure break on the 3 minute, and take it like that, just so you can have a better RR. And then I would be aggressively taking profit and take most of the profit probably at the mitigation of this high, like 3.54. That's for like a long scalp. If you want to take a long scalp on Sui, just because the RR is not there on the 15 minute break. What's up, Fecker? Good to see you, man. What's up, Zaid? But yeah, we are in a pullback level. Let's look at some deeper pullback levels on Sui. So so if it's going to follow the demand chain that it's been following, we have our next level demand here. On the daily, we do have a bit of like hidden bullish divergence. So if you do take that scalp, it may turn into something, but just understand how the rest of the market's looking. Most likely you're coming for this strong low, right? But there's a chance. But most likely you're coming for this low. So next level, be aware of. Be like 308.97 if we take our fib here. Look at that. Look at that confluence. What else do we have here, right? We also have our previous decision block. So if we take pink box here, this would be a very key area, right? Because there's a bunch of confluences stacked here. So there's the golden pocket 786, there's decision block, there's unmitigated daily demand. So if we come down here and let's say we get like a 1 hour or 2 hour break of structure out of here, right? That would be a great time to deploy. And maybe it's just a lower high, whatever the case is, right? But that would be a good put, the next level to look for. Longs, it's also the next spider line, right? So if we're not going to bounce from this demand area, which is possible, right? We're still haven't lost the. Man, actually, we were talking about how this. And look at that, dude. Yeah, we were talking about how we broke daily structure here, and then how we came to our GP, and we're likely going to get a rejection down. Look at that. Oof, man. It's been giving you SFPs after SFPs, too. One, two, three, four. Yeah, I would look in this area, so let's set an alert there. Okay. Are we getting this break right now? Yeah, so if Sui gets above 348, you can look for a mitigation entry. You can look for like a an inch on the 3 minutes to try to scalp it back up. Probably like assume it's going to be a lower high until we break 4 hour structure, which is again up here at like 368. So assume that you should be aggressively taking profit around like that 355 area. But there may be a scalp there. We'll have to see. So plan A is here. Plan B is at 308. Already mitigated everything under that. Yeah. I want to see. Interesting. Yeah, I would keep an eye on Sui here. Keep an eye on Sui here. you may be able to catch something. Cool. All right. Wow. Is that the only altcoin y'all wanted to look at? SEI, yeah, we can look at SEI. Let me look at, so we just looked at ETH, Cameron. Let's see if I can answer your question. Is ETH going for the 50% double bottom bounce now? So the 15-minute structure high is up here. Yeah, I mean, it's at the 50% retrace if that's what you mean. I mean, it's definitely an area to be aware of. The only thing with ETH, bro, is we just broke daily structure. And we have all of these juicy levels down here. Well, I mean, money flow is still coming up on ETH. It does look a little better than the rest of the market. It's just going to depend, man. So if you go back to the beginning, I think you missed the beginning of the stream. But if Bitcoin holds the strong low that it has now, then I think ETH can bounce from the 50% level. But if Bitcoin has to come down to either plan A, B, or C, then ETH is likely coming to one of these three areas. And that's 3,900, 37.36, and 35.35. But if Bitcoin is going to hold the daily low and keep the uptrend, then yeah, I think ETH could bounce from here. But really, you just want to see like high time frame structure breaks. Really, like you want it like the entire market should be viewed as guilty until proven innocent right now, right? Like you should be favoring shorts until middle time frame structure aligns with like the daily uptrend. Just protect yourself in these circumstances. All right, cool. Well, we'll look at SEI and Sol, and then we'll get out of here. So oh, okay. Is that SFP? Man, Sunday's stream, huh? Look at that, dude. Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit before we talk about SEI. So, I mean, I think you guys know this, right? But Sunday's stream was really the first stream on this channel that has been overly bearish, right? We were really bearish on Sunday because we had finally gotten a high time frame because we had pulled the weekly high and we had SFP'd the weekly, right? So that's why we were bullish all through in this. We were bullish on this GP bounce because I'm teaching you guys how to trade with market structure. And this is why it's important, guys, right? Like Sunday's stream was the first stream where we heavily gave shorts on the stream. And this is why I tell you guys, you don't have to predict when the top's going to be, right? If you caught this SFP, nice, right? Cool. But if you wait for the structure break, you can catch the impulse down. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox, my market structure soapbox now. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Okay. So SEI is hitting. So altcoins are hitting some interesting levels right now. So yeah, Cameron, you could be, I mean, they could bounce here. That would be Bitcoin holding its daily low and faking everyone out with a close below the 886, but just be very careful. Like, you understand that if we're going back up, like, there's going to be a lot of upside, so you don't necessarily have to jump in at the absolute lows, right? You can wait for structure to break. The same way, the same principle that I just showed you guys for when we flipped short, right? Whenever high time frame structure broke. The same thing happens to the upside, right? If you wait for the high time frame structure break, you get the break, you enter, then you get to ride the continuation impulse. If you just catch the bottom here, catch the bottom here, catch the bottom here, you just rugged, right? That's no fun. The same way that, like, if you try to catch the short before structure breaks, it's just like short, rugged, short, rugged, short, rugged, short, rugged, right? That's not how we want to trade. We want to trade when our high time frames, middle time frames, and entry time frames all align. The structure is the same on all of them. That's when we want to trade because that's when we're the most likely to win. And that's when we can leave runners and everyone's happy and everyone's euphoric. We can make a bunch of money, right? So just understand that, right? One of the best things about that you can learn about yourself as a trader is understanding when to trade and when to sit on your hands. Or when to long and when to short, right? So let's understand that. But let's look at SEI because it is hitting an interesting level. So okay. So we're getting an SFP on the daily. A lot of time left in the day, right? But out of everything we've looked at, I'm not gonna lie. What is this? This is a 4 hour. Where is this? Oh, it's already been mitigated though. But we pulled the liquidity in these lows. The volume is like nothing. Let's see, let's zoom in a little bit. Oof, yeah, aggressive. I mean, you got some divergent money's aggressive coming out. Yeah, I would wait. If tomorrow this is still SFPing, I would like this. Because we just pulled all the liquidity out of these lows. If we don't hold this, yeah, it looks like is this it's a golden pocket too. So let's see where we can let it prove itself. All right, so either wait for tomorrow's daily close or let the 1 hour show you. So let SEI do something like this, right? Find along in here. Wow, look at that. That was the target of our short. Look, market structure, y'all. Market structure. That was the exact target of our short, okay? So understand key levels, right? When we've looked at a lot of coins today, and this is the first one that I've said, oh, this looks really good. It's because it's hitting a key block, right? Key block of demand. And what did this block of demand do? It led to a huge impulse on the daily. So if the price comes back to this block, it will engage the market's memory in that location and likely should lead to a bounce to the upside. But the problem is, like, Market Cipher looks like trash. We're in a huge impulse down. Let it prove itself, right? At least on the 1 hour or with a daily close tomorrow, right? So set an alert here at 30.73. Like SEI 1 hour break structure. And then SEI 1 hour break of structure, and then just come back after that, and then zoom in to like the 3 minute, 15 minute, something like that, and catch an entry. Until then, I would leave it alone, right? There's no point when Bitcoin's dumping and taking risk on an altcoin, right? So just let it play out and then jump in after you get some confirmations. Did Sol hit our level? Is Cubanian in here? Let's see. Look at that. Look at that. Shorts from Sunday. We were targeting 176. Yeah, so Sol. Okay, so alts are hitting some interesting key levels. We were talking about on the stream on Sunday that the target of this move would be down here. We've now hit that level. These altcoins are giving a little bit of credence to that Bitcoin could hold here, right? But when I say that, understand what I'm saying, right? It's still guilty until proven innocent. Still give it time to develop. So we actually broke bullish here. Let's look at the 4 hour. Again, so I would wait. Let it prove itself. If Sol can come above 180, this would be a 4 hour break of structure. 4 hour break of structure. Same thing we were looking for here. You guys remember? Back here? 4-hour break of structure, mitigation, go. 4-hour break of structure, mitigation, go. Just wait. 4-hour break of structure, mitigation, go. All right? Guilty until proof. All right, y'all. Well, that's enough rambling out of me, guys. I really hope this was helpful. I think there was a lot of excellent nuggets in this live stream. If you missed the beginning, please go back and watch that when we covered Bitcoin and ETH. I appreciate y'all being here through the pumps, through the dumps, through it all, guys. I am happy that over the last few days I've kept y'all safe, telling y'all guilty until proven innocent. We haven't gotten rugged like crazy. My name's Wave Cipher. Trade safe. Much love. Join the free Discord in the chat. Wave Cipher out.